Ah, alright. Let's see. Let's search. Alright. There's a string. Oh, hello Twitch Ad, how do you do? Skull and Bones game, yeah. Not exactly up my alley in terms of video games. Okay, audio is working as it should, that is fantastic, so no complications or no major complications as of yet. That is good. Alright, stream's up, chat's up, should be all good to go. Time to get another season underway. Just be waiting here patiently for everyone to join up. We're not going to have all the full-time drivers for this first race. We do have reserves currently in the lobby. But still, if we have 18, that's a solid start to the season. I think someone has joined. I think. No. Slight lobby update, that's fine. Keep my eyes on in the Discord just for a bit. Just waiting on Levi and GeForce Crichton. In terms of reserves, you have Clockson in the Aston Martin, you have Websy in the Williams, and Grimmy in the Haas. There he is down here. Alright. So 17 full-timers, 3 reserves, should be a full grid. There's Crichton. Good to see that he's still racing. He is the only driver, to my knowledge, on the grid that has actually won a Tier 1 Drivers' Championship. He's the only one left. Big Al has gone off to do other things. Mr. Bailey Ford won't be competing for this season, to my knowledge. Mr. Amazing Hour, or Andrew Lee, left Race Spec a long time ago, so Crichton is the only one left. I think the ready up signal has just been given, alright, so we've got 19. There's the timer. When that hits 0 and the screen cuts to black, I'll start up my intro as per normal. Hello everyone and welcome to Season 10 and to the first round of the Pacific Tier 1 Championship here on Race Spec Esports. I'm Lane Everingham, your commentator for this championship season, which will feature some of the very best drivers Race Spec has to offer. For this first event of our 12-round season, we'll be competing at Circuit de Barcelona-Catalunya for the Spanish Grand Prix. Constructed all the way back in 1991, Barcelona has been the representative racetrack for the Spanish Grand Prix for over 3 decades. Over its tenure in the sport, it has delivered a memorable race or two, but for the most part, the racing quality around here tends to be mediocre at best. The circuit has changed quite a lot over the years to both try and improve safety and to try and improve the circuit's racing quality, but recent developments on the racetrack have resulted in its layout looking incredibly similar to its original design. The circuit today measures up at 4.66 kilometres and features 14 corners, 6 to the left and 8 to the right. The majority of those right-handers are high-speed corners, so drivers should expect a heavy amount of tyre wear on the left-hand side of the car. The circuit's main hot spots include the 2 DRS zones that lead into the main overtaking spots of Turn 1 and Turn 10. They also include the high-speed corners of Turn 9 and Turn 14. Both should provide a unique technical challenge for drivers who are pushing right to the limit during both qualifying and in the race. With the introductions out of the way, it's now time to focus on said qualifying session. It's your standard format, 18 minutes long, the single session. Plenty of time to try and put a lap on the board. And Prezzo, who has moved up from Tier 2 to Tier 1 for this season, is the first car out on track. I'm very much looking forward to seeing what Prezzo can do in Pacific Tier 1. I know him to be a very, very capable racer. In saying that, though, when you look at the names on that totem pole on the left, there are some really, really quick drivers in Pacific Tier 1. It's not quite as strong as it has been in previous seasons, but it's a solid, well-rounded list. And I'm really looking forward to seeing how this season unfolds. Prezzo's making his way around the final 2 corners on the racetrack. We'll ride on board with the Haas driver, give you a tour of this 4.6 kilometre racetrack. Down the main straightaway, he'll begin the flying lap and head down towards Turn 1, the circuit's best overtaking opportunity. Entering in at 322 kilometres an hour, you bring it down to 4th gear, back on the power as he heads through the left of Turn 2 and around the long right-hander of Turn 3. Absolutely flat out round that corner as we head up towards the right-hand sweeper, that is Turn 4, 4th gear. Back on the power, reaching full throttle, using a little bit of curve on the outside, and now into the hairpin of Turn 5, a potential overtaking spot if you get a good run out of Turn 4. Round Turn 6, into the chicane complex of 7 and 8. You want to be careful of that yellow sausage curve on the inside. Around Turn 9, absolutely flat out. You have to be fully committed around that corner as we head up towards the sweeper. That is Turn 10. On the brakes again, hard, down to 3rd gear. Back on the power as we head through the little kink of Turn 11, then into the right-hander of Turn 12. 2 corners remain. The flat-out right-hander of Turn 13 is relatively simple, but now you got the final corner. Down to 6th gear, back on the power, keeping the car within the white lines. Prezzo will set a benchmark, 1 minute 11.971. I have a feeling he'd be pretty happy with that lap. That looked pretty spot on. The clock's in the reserve driver, making his way through the opening chicane complex, where I wouldn't be surprised if we saw drama in the race through there, particularly on the first lap. It can get quite tight. Daniel Koo on the intermediate tyre. It's a technique used by some drivers where they use a set of inters on their very first lap just to try and put down a benchmark, as Dutchy goes to the top with a 11.5. Grimmy on a flying lap, another reserve driver. Stevenson jumps to the top with a 1 minute 11.1. F1 Ferrari Pro, nice to see him back alongside Mr. Race Spec himself, Matt Plevy. Both drivers in the Ferrari. It's a bit different seeing Plevy in a Scarlet Red Ferrari. More typical of him to drive in an Alpine. But no, donning red for Season 10. It's a nice look, it's a different look. He heads down towards the final corner. Lot of speed carried through there. DRS open up towards the line. It's going to be an 11.2 by Matt Plevy there. Rockford currently P2 as well. Nice to see him back. He's only half a tenth off pole position, currently being occupied by Mr. Blake Stevenson. GeForce Crichton, I'll be keen to see what he can do in qualifying. Tends to do quite well at Barcelona in general. He's won a plentiful amount of times here. Heads up towards the hairpin at Turn 5. ACW occupying P2 now, just ahead of his teammate by 5 thousandths of a second. ACW and Luke Rockford, that's going to be a really, really strong combination for this season. They're going to be tough to beat in the Constructors' Championship. Out of the way is Ven, a reserve driver in the Mercedes for Barcelona. Up towards turn 12, fifth gear, back down to fourth, on the power. Nice tidy exit. We head around turn 13, down towards the final corner, and Crichton decides to bow. Not overly happy with the lap time, I suppose. Gone back in, he'll put on another set of tyres and go out for another run. Websy, reserve driver in the Williams, crosses the middle sector split and heads into turn 11. Definitely a potential overtaking spot here at the left-hander. It is a bit difficult to pull off. You get a healthy sized DRS zone, but it's difficult to gain a lot of momentum on your rival in front. You really have to be quite committed to try and go for a move through that left-hander. Up towards the line now for Websy, and he takes provisional pole. It's a nice lap in 11 flat, beating Stevenson by just over 1/10 of a second. Got Nickman out on track. He's just done a lap looking at his telemetry. An 11.6, Farmer Sam, an 11.6 as well. He'll be going back into pit lane. Ferrari Pro's got a time on the board, but he's looking to try and improve. He might bail on this lap and go back into pit lane, and that's exactly what he will do. So incredibly tight right off the bat. Prezzo's time, which I said he'd be happy with, I reckon he would be. He's only 9/10 off provisional pole. He'll be looking to try and find a few tenths, so maybe gain a position or two, because between him and pole position being 9/10, between P12 and pole position, that's just 7/10. Thank you, Ventani. So we got rain on the way in the race. It's nice to hear, in all honesty. I do like a mixed conditions race. It tends to make Barcelona that much more exciting too, when you get some weather involved. Dry races here, they're not terrible by any stretch, but mixed weather condition races, yeah, it's always good fun. Throws off massive curveballs for the drivers to try and work around. Paulo Pepsi out on track. He's on soft tyres. Same with Daniel Koo. So he makes his way around the final two corners. He'll do his first proper flying lap on the soft compound Pirelli tyre. Yellow flags out, just someone going a bit slowly. That's okay. Won't impede anybody. Ferrari coming out of the pits. Is that Ferrari Pro or is that Matt Plevy? It appears to be Ferrari Pro. Out of turn 2 and heading around turn 3, Danoku's heading up towards the first sector split. Only 3 corners in the first sector, so you're not expected to gain a lot of time. Unless, of course, you did your first lap on the intermediate tyre like Danoku. Up towards the hairpin at turn 5. Down to second gear. Short shift up to third. Up to fourth gear even. As he heads down the hill, he's shifting it all the way down to second to try and get that extra rotation heading into the corner, and short shifting to try and make sure he doesn't get any wheel spin at corner exit. Nice and flat out around turn 9. Up towards turn 10. Hard on the brakes. Heading around the long left sweeper. Now turn 12, fourth gear, third gear, back up to fourth. Tidy run from Danoku so far. 2 corners remain for him. Prezzo's just behind him as well, so we'll flick to him in just a moment, see what he can do. The Williams driver will cross the line and jump up to P7. Prezzo, currently 2/10 down. Can he improve here in the final sector? The answer is yes, but he doesn't improve on his PB. Still on in 11.9. Neckman out on track. Spicer out on track. Rockford on a flyer, and he's up by 27 thousandths to the first sector. He makes his way towards turn 5, and McLaren in front. This might be a tad bit tight, a tad bit distracting, I would think, for Luke. So we head towards turns 7 and 8. Up the hill now towards turn 9. Plenty of traffic heading through the middle sector. Hopefully everyone can get themselves sorted out. Now, did Rockford lose any time? What does the clock say? He's down, but only just by 8 thousandths of a second. Crichton's put a time on the board as well. He's done an 11.2. Oh, as Rockford has a huge slide out of 12. Caught it brilliantly. But that's his flying lap done. He'll go back into pit lane. On a slide for Sebastian Spicer. He was up in the first sector, but he probably lost time there through turn 4. Crichton, he'll be making his way back into the pits. He'll put on another set later. Bags Liddell in the Red Bull, jumps up to third, and 11.1 is his time, only 13 thousandths behind Stevenson, who just passes the Red Bull, heading into turn 1. Through 2, 5th gear. Now turn 3, flat out, hugging the inside line the whole way round. Up to 7th gear, heading up towards turn 4, down just by a little bit, by 54 thousandths of a second. Not using the curb on the outside, keeping it on the tarmac. Maybe a tad bit wide there for Stevenson. Didn't look like he hit the apex there. We head through turn 7 and turn 8 up the hill. It's not been the tidiest of middle sectors looking from this outboard shot. Not using the full width of the circuit. Clock says he's down by a tenth and a half. Yeah, I'm not terribly surprised. He'll probably go back into pit lane, I would think. ACW is down, and he's not on a push lap. He's turned off the battery. Fair play to him. Matt Levy, he's up by 64 thousandths to the first sector. Seems to be a tidy run through turn 8. Round 9 flat out. Up towards turn 10. Clock says to the middle sector. He's up by just over 1/10 of a second. With that kind of improvement, he'll be able to potentially jump up in the top 5, potentially pass his teammate down the hill. Towards the final corner, 6th gear, 7th, flat out the whole way round. Up towards the line now for the Ferrari driver, and he goes P3 with an 11.122. Only 2 thousandths behind Stevenson. But no one's done an 11 flat, no one except Websy. Still got a decent margin between himself and P2, it seems. The thing, a decent margin is 1/10 of a second, but that's the kind of margins we're playing with at the moment. Roscoe Arm, yet to put a time on the board, is making his way around turn 9. Nick Mann, I believe, just behind him, is not on a flying lap. He's on an in-lap, looking at his telemetry. Through the final sector now for the AlphaTauri driver. Using that green bit of tarmac on the outside, trying to make sure he can carry as much speed as possible through the left-hander. Down through 13, up towards 14. Left, and then back to full throttle. It's going to be an 11.8. He goes 18th fastest. Just in front of Prezzo. It's an incredibly tight situation. Less than 1 second separating the entire field. It's less than half a second separating P1 to P14. It is currently being occupied by Farmer Sam. He gets a lovely little tow there from Dutchy. Sam is up by 1/10 of a second to the middle sector. Round turn 12. There's a slow-moving Ferrari at turn 13. Not sure what's going on there. Cutting the track, getting out of the way. Round the final corner, flat out for Sam. Back on to the main straight. He'll set an 11.2, P9. He set the exact same lap time to the 1,000th as Sebastian Spicer, who's about to begin a flying lap. Dutchy, Sam's teammate, would have got a small tow heading down the main straight. So the two alphas working together. Very good coordination between the two drivers. And Dutchy's found a little bit of time. 65 thousandths to be exact, as it's now a Williams 1-2. Daniel Coos entered the 11 flats. Still half a tenth off Websy though. Mind you, is still in pit lane. He's only done the one run. Interested to see if he goes out again. Up towards the middle sector split. What does the clock say for Dutchy? He's up by a similar margin to his teammate on the lap before, just under a tenth and a half. If he can string this final sector together, might be able to gain a position, maybe 2, depending on how well he does this final sector. Around the final turn 6 gear, bit of a lift there to make sure the front end turned in. It's going to be an 11.4, P15 for the Alfa Romeo driver. Grimming on an out lap, Spicer trying to get himself ready to commence a flying lap. Making his way down the hill and around the final corner. He's turned the battery on. He'll send it down the main straight. Should be aiming at about 320 kilometers an hour as we head towards turn 1. There's the 320 mark. On the brakes hard. Down to 4th gear. Missing the apex by a little, I think, there. Could have got a bit closer to the curb. And McLaren getting well out of the way. That'll be Stevenson, Spicer's teammate. Spicer dead even to his personal best in the first sector. Hasn't gained any time, hasn't lost any time. So he needs to put together a solid middle sector here. A lot of corners to try and negotiate. A lot of areas where you can try and gain time. Cool camera angle there. Curb cam entering turn 9. Up towards the middle sector split. Clock says down by 37 thousandths. ACW gets ready to set another flying lap. To begin another flying lap, I should say. Down towards turn 1. Top speed here. 324 kilometers an hour as Spicer heads round the final corner back onto the main straight. Will he improve? The answer is no. He stays P9 with his 11.211. Rockford heading around the final corner himself. He's down to the middle sector split. Opens DRS and crosses the line. He does not improve. He stays P8. Ferrari Pro through turns 1 and 2. 4th gear. A lot of modulation of the throttle there. Couldn't stay committed for too long. Did that cost him time? What does the clock say to the first sector? He's up. He's up by a decent chunk. So he must have carried a lot of corner speed there through turns 1 and 2. He's found a whole 10th. He's already looking at an 11 flat right off the bat. ACW, it appears that he might have bailed on his lap. He's now slowing down. He might be going back into the pits. Williams in front of Ferrari Pro. Gets out of the way. That's good driving there. Up towards the middle sector split. Clock says he's lost a little bit of time, but he's still up overall. 88 thousandths up. ACW retires in pit lane. The best he can hope for is a P6 start. I doubt he'll stay there. Stevenson's retired. There's been some kind of incident, it seems, at turn 8. You can see the two McLarens stationary there. One of them's moving. That has to be Spicer. As Ferrari Pro jumps to the top. He's found a ton of time in the final sector. He's done a 10.9. Daniel Coos started a flying lap. So is Websy just behind. So they've got a new marker to try and chase down. A 10.9. Plevy's on the lap. He's down in the first sector though. Bags Liddell is heading up towards the first sector split. The clock says for the Red Bull driver, he's up by 9 thousandths. Daniel Koo. He's up. Oh no, he's not up. He's down by 2 thousandths. Websy down by 66 thousandths. So not a great first sector. He might have added a slight extra bit of wing perhaps. Might be a little bit slower down the straights. He might be quicker in the corners. We'll find out. Matt Plevy's invalidated his run. The best he can hope for is P5. Bags Liddell to the middle sector. He's up by 82 thousandths. Daniel Koo down by 87. Websy up by 4 hundredths. It's going to be tight for Paul. Liddell, I think he might have been offline there. He's done. His session is over. And same with Daniel Koo. So it's down to Websy then. One corner remains for the Williams driver. 7th gear, flat out the whole way round. DRS open, up towards the line. It's not good enough. He misses out by 26 thousandths of a second. Rockford's done. Spicer's done. Sam is really done. Crichton's done. Grimmy's done. That's it. Qualifying over. And it's a Ferrari who will start from pole position. Ferrari Pro pulling out a mega lap right at the end. A 10.952, beating Websy by an incredibly small margin. 26 thousandths between the top two. Wasn't expecting that from Ferrari Pro. He pulled a whole heap of time out in that final sector. He found a whole 10th and a bit. And he's planted that red thing right at the front of the field. How about that? And a Williams 2-3. Wouldn't that be a lovely thing to see in real life? See the Williams cars up at the front of the field. Stevenson P4, Plevy rounds out the top 5. So very solid qualifying for Ferrari, incredibly solid for Williams. McLaren P4, P5, Alpine P7, P8. Not bad at all. But there we go, at the end of qualifying, less than a second between pole position and P19, less than a second. Not bad at all. There we are, the end of qualifying. Ferrari Pro will start from pole position for the first race of the new season. He'll have Websy alongside him on the front row. Daniel Koo, P3, followed by Stevenson, who completes the second row. Matt Plevy rounds out the top 5. He'll have Bags Liddell alongside him in P6. Then the two Alpines of ACW and Rockford, P7 and 8. Spicer, P9, and Farmer Sam rounds out the top 10. GeForce Crichton will start from P11. He'll have Grimmy alongside in 12, followed by Nickman. Apollo Pepsi clocks in. Then Duxy, Roscoe Arm, Ven, and Prezzo will start from the back. Yeah, look at that. Less than half a second separating the top 17. Marbles love all tyres, ECW. Yeah, I imagine it would be very annoying just going slightly offline, picking up some marbles laying off to the side of the racetrack. I imagine that's not a particularly fun experience, especially during qualifying where you're trying to nail a lap. Yeah, and I imagine tyre temps are going to be a tad bit of a nightmare. I'd imagine, especially on the softs in the race. I imagine they'd be those tyres would get a bit warm. I wouldn't be surprised. Alright, it's time for the race, and we are set to have some wet weather at some stage. That's going to really spice things up, and I imagine it might alter strategy somewhat. Perhaps some drivers might opt to start on the hardest compound tyre, try and drive until the rain comes, put on the Interzen. But we do have the weather set to approximate. So the rain might come earlier, the rain might not come at all. That's sort of the wild card factor of approximate weather. So we'll see how it affects the race. Now, I better be ready here. I didn't check if there's a formation lap or not. We might be lights down on the way we go, so I need to be ready. I should have checked, but I didn't. So I need to be reactive. Alrighty then, folks. We got 5 red lights. And Season 10 is underway. Great start from Ferrari Pro from pole position. Websy, can he drag race him down towards turn 1? Not quite. Ferrari Pro half covers, leaves the lane open. And here comes Daniel Koo round the outside here at the first corner. Up towards turn 2. The Williams gets in front. Around the sweeper now. Can Daniel Koo make the move stick? Ferrari Pro on the mediums rather. He won't have the outright grip compared to Daniel Koo on the softs, who is still fighting round the outside. Mega start for Crichton as well. He's up 5 positions already. They're still battling side by side as they head through the hairpin at turn 5, down towards turn 6. Ferrari Pro gets in front and takes the lead, heading into turn 7. Daniel Koo, he fought very hard there, and Crichton up to 5th. Oh, I think there's debris. There is. Piece of end plate flying up into the air. Not sure who it's off just yet. We'll find out in just a moment. Seb Spicer has left the session. Hopefully he can rejoin as soon as possible. It appears to be Bags Liddell. Contact, I think, between him and Rockford there at turn 10 rather. But Liddell's in trouble. He's got damage. He will need to pit. Oh, you need to be careful here. Needs to get to as far right as he can. Well done. He'll go into pit lane and get that car fixed. But what a start from Crichton. Up to 4th now. And a drag race towards turn 1. Daniel Koo with the inside line. On the brakes hard, he gets in front. Ferrari Pro down to 2nd. Let's see who's on what tyre then. Daniel Koo on the softs. Ferrari Pro on the mediums. Websy on those hard tyres. Is under attack from Crichton. Looking down the inside here at turn 4. Crichton making full use of those soft tyres. He has gone from 11th position up to 3rd in the matter of 1 1/3 laps. Now got 2 cars left in front of him to take the race lead. In an absolutely marvellous start, making full use of the grip of those soft tyres. Plevy under attack as well. He's got Stevenson right behind. Should have enough margin here though to keep McLaren at bay. But all round, a very solid start. Everyone pretty much kept out of trouble except for Liddell. Made contact with somebody, resulting in front wing damage. Onto the main straight now. We begin lap 3 of 33. Crichton setting the fastest lap. Beaten his time is Luke Rockford. DRS is now enabled. Around the sweeper at turn 3. Ferrari Pro, he's close. Will he go for an attack though? He looks. Does not commit though. Crichton. How aggressive will he be to try and get past Ferrari Pro? He's going to look straight away. Ferrari Pro leaves room. Contact between the two. As they head down the hill towards turn 6. They're wheel to wheel. Heading towards 7. Someone has to give. And it's Ferrari Pro. He's down to 3rd. So Crichton up to P2. It was a very aggressive move. Ferrari Pro saw him coming though. Left the room. Into the braking zone at turn 10. Leaders line astern. A bit of a gap between Stevenson and Rockford. But it's not terribly big. It's still within that 1 second range. And he needs to stay there. A bit further back we got some battling. Grimmy, Clarkson heading down the hill towards the final corner. Managed to get their little battle sorted. Drivers using the full width of the curb there. The final turn using every millimetre of track they can afford to use. Look at the Aston go down the inside. Contact, light contact. And as a result, he loses 1, 2, just 2 positions. Could have been 3 if Frezza was just that little bit closer. But that's the kind of margins we're racing with. Slight contact results in huge losses of time and position. Back to the leaders. Danoku leads by 0.2 of a second to G-Force Crichton. Ferrari Pro right behind on those mediums, doing the best he can. DRS open on the Mercedes. Not quite close enough to attack here at the left-hand sweeper. Up towards turn 12. Nice and steady the whole way around. Don't want to get too early on the throttle. Back end can step out, can lose time. And in a field as competitive as this, you do not want to lose time. Even 0.1 of a second, it will cost you dearly. Crichton closing in with the aid of the slipstream and DRS. Pulls to the inside. Passes the Williams and takes the lead at the beginning of lap 5. Ferrari Pro keeping touch with the 2 out in front. Plevy, I believe he's just moved himself to 4th place. Stevenson close. Not quite close enough to make a move. It's a tough place to pass at turn 4. You have to be quite brave on the brakes, so you need to have grip on your side. And with these guys on the hard compound tyre, you do not have grip on your side. Try and make that dive bomb work. Through 7 and 8. Up the hill towards turn 9. Massive time loss there for Stevenson. Took a poor line through there. Bit wide as well from Danoku in front in the Williams. You can see him losing time to Crichton. Look at that gap. 9.5 tenths. Grimmy, problem. Yellow's out. Grimmy's back on the racetrack, but he's down in 17th place. He's got dirty tyres as well, so he needs to be careful through these final 2 corners. Crichton out in front. Danoku with DRS, but he's under pressure. Ferrari Pro going round the outside here at turn 1. He gets the job done. He's up to 2nd. Roscoe gets Ven. He's up to 12th. Around turn 3. Plevy, I don't know how aggressive Matt's going to be here. He's on the hard tyre. All he really needs to do is just stick with the top 3. Doesn't need to do anything silly. As a matter of fact, it's the same with all of these guys behind. Don't need to do anything too silly. It's only lap 6 of 33. Still got a long way to go. So going for that big dive bomb here at this stage of the race really doesn't make sense for a hard runner. For these guys on the softs and the mediums makes a bit more sense because you need to be proactive when you've got grip on your side. And that's exactly what Crichton's done. Around turn 12. Yeah. Are you back in the room, Spicy? Hang on, I can check. No, you're not. Do you need an invite from someone? I can try and send you one if do I have you on PC? I got you on PlayStation, but I don't know if I have you friended on PC. Ferrari Pro moves into the lead. Can't get an invite. Why not? Why can't you get an invite? Oh, I guess I'll find out in a bit. Ferrari Pro moves in front. Stevenson overtaking Websy. So Websy down to P6 now. Williams driver, he won't counter-attack. All of these guys, from Matt Plevy down to ACW here in P8, they're all on the hard tyre. They're all in the same boat. Bloxon, 3-second time penalty, the first of the night. Down the back straightaway towards the sweeper. Oh, that's tied between these two. Oh, and a spin! Around goes Stevenson. Oh, and a spin again! This time it's Venn spinning in the exact same spot. Both moved down to P15 and 17 respectively. Oh dear. Rockford closing the gap to Websy ahead. Not by enough to make a move though into turn 1. Grammy gets in front of Stevenson. That's because of the hot tyres on Stevenson's car after that spin. They won't have a lot of grip. Round the turn 4 sweeper up towards the turn 5 hairpin. Everyone closely bunched up, all line astern. Around turn 7, round turn 8. Yellow's out. Is that Stevenson again? It must be. In the grass. Another spin. It's going from bad to worse for the McLaren driver. It's going from worse to awful for the McLaren team. Let's see if I can do anything, eh? I'll try and make this as quick as I can. Let's see. I need to go to friends list. Let's see. If you're online, you should appear somewhere here. Ah, I see. You just rejoined. Thank goodness. Yeah, I'm not sure if I got you friended on PC, sir. Might have to check afterwards. Here comes Crichton round the outside, heading into turn 1. Sector 3 yellows. That's Venn, I believe. It is. He's in the gravel trap. He moves down to 19th place. So Crichton gets in front. The A to DRS. Ferrari Pro buried right behind him. Look at him. Damn near touching the Mercedes as we head around turn 4. Danoku still operating in P3, watching the two ahead battle. I imagine at this stage of the race, those soft runners, they're just trying to manage their tyres now. Definitely seen better days after 8 laps. Just trying to nurse their tyres. Perhaps try and hold on to the track position they've got as well. It might be a bit difficult to pull off. I don't think it's impossible though. As Matt Plevy has a real good look down the inside. Daniel gives him room. Oh! Got really touch and go there through turn 10. Plevy really forced the issue. Daniel Koo had to run considerably wide there in order to try and get around the Ferrari. Ultimately, he had to concede P3. Lap 10 begins. We've got a long way to go in this race. Long way to go indeed. This train of cars going from P1 down to P14. Incredible. Round the sweeper. Ferrari Pro, he's got momentum on his side. He's got the inside line. And after this many laps, he should have the better tyre. He gets back in front and retakes the lead. Crichton having a few looks. Ferrari Pro trying to shut the door. And ultimately, it's Ferrari Pro who stays out in front. Up the hill. Up towards turn 9. Crichton, he'll get DRS, but he will not be close enough to attack, I would think. He's got momentum, though, but decides to brake early. Oh, Ferrari Pro brakes late, runs wide. Here comes the Merc. Can't get it done, though, not on the outside. Matt Plevy almost gets down the inside of Crichton. Couldn't complete the move, though. Down the final turn, missing the apex by just a little bit there for Ferrari Pro. So here comes the Merc, and here comes the teammate. Plevy with a ton of speed. Moves in front of Ferrari Pro. Can't quite take the race lead, though. Clarkson getting in front of Prezzo, that's for P12. The Aston Martin driver is still the only person in the field with a time penalty next to their name. What can Plevy do on those hard tyres? Should be right in the zone now after 10 laps. Those tyres should be operating incredibly well. It's incredible to watch how tightly packed this field is. Until we get that 1 second margin, this leading pack has 11 cars in it. And there's a 1 second gap between Clarkson and Roscoe. Flip around for just a bit. You can see the position changes. We have a huge amount of shuffling in the field. Crichton's made the most out of anybody. From P11, he's gone up to first place. I don't think he will hold it for that much longer, though. Matt Plevy should be able to get something done shortly. He won't do it here, though, not yet. Other drivers who have moved up positions. Roscoe, Duxie and Apollo were scrapping away at turn 1. The Roscoe up to 9th. He's gained 8 places. Duxie's gained 6. Both Apollo and Clarkson, they've gained 3. Prezzo's gained 5. Oh, and that is a lag spike. Was that Ross or was that Farmer Sam? There was someone who had a huge lag spike there at turn 4. Roscoe, he'll have a lot of work to do to try and catch up to Farmer Sam. Then around, that is at turn 11. He's having a not so great day in the office. Down in 19th place. He'd just be hoping he can try and stay on the lead lap. Maybe pray for a safety car to come out. Right now he's not in a great position. Rockford getting by Websy. Down the hill towards the final corner. So Websy down 4 places from where he qualified. I don't think it should mind him too much. He's still with the leading group. As Matt Plevy takes the lead from Crichton. Can Ferrari Pro follow through? Down the inside he looks. Couldn't get it done though. Websy side by side here with ACW. He's off the track. He's over the curbs as we head around turn 3. That's a great bit of car control to keep that thing in a straight line, to not lose the back end. Oh, and Clarkson's out. A retirement at turn 3, and that's our first safety car of the night. Right on board here with Stevenson. There he is there. He is well deep in the barrier at turn 3. Had to have had help, surely, to end up there. As Spicer leaves the session again. Hopefully he can come back shortly. There we go, our first retirement. Reserve driver on the Aston Martin crashing out at turn 3. Big time. So we're down to 18, and that's exactly the safety car Ven needed. It might be a good idea to stay out, yeah, and that's what he's doing. Oh, can't control the car. That's odd. You did join the session, though. I did notice that. That's very weird. But in comes everybody. Everybody has to pit. It's a free pit stop. You got to take it. Doesn't matter what tyres you're on. It doesn't matter if you're double stacking either. You got to pit. Oh, look at this. Oh, my word. The congestion in pit lane. going to have rush hour traffic here. Oh, it's double stack there for Rockford. Oh no, wow. Changed his tyres pretty quick, it seems. He drove into the pits, into his pit stall, drove out of it a millisecond later, and he had new tyres. Seb has rejoined the session, so hopefully his issues have resolved themselves, hopefully. So a bit of shaking up in the order. Front runners remain pretty much the same. Plevy from Crichton, from Daniel Koo, then ACW. Ferrari Pro now down in 5th position. Farmer Sam in the Alpha, P6. In front of Websy, Roscoe, Rockford. Prezzo now off into the top 10. I imagine that's because during rush hour traffic in pit lane, he remained relatively unimpeded while going through the pits, so he must have gained a few positions out of it. Nickman P11, Dutchy P12, Polo P13. We have Grimmy, Stevenson, Liddell, Spicer, who has not retained control of his car. And then Ven. He's trying to catch up to the tail of the train. Everyone's made at least one pit stop. In terms of position change, yeah, you can see the shuffling. In terms of biggest losses, unfortunately, it's Liddell and Stevenson. Stevenson spinning out twice. Big one here at turn 10, and for Mr. Liddell, an incident on the very first lap. Dropped him all the way to the back of the field. He's now got one. It's going to be a tough task to make his way through the field. I would think in his position, he would try and go for a top 10. I reckon he'll have the pace to try and pull that off. As I believe that's Spicer, who is now in control again because he's not ghosting. Yeah, that's definitely not an AI in control. He's in. So, he's going to get off these hard tyres, bolt on a set of softs. That's a hell of a call. Then onto a set of mediums. So I wonder why you've done that, Seb. Because you're definitely in control. You're not ghosting. Yeah, and that's a human braking as well. Don't need telemetry at the moment. We can get rid of that. So yeah, soft tyres. I mean, we got clouds around. I don't think we're anywhere. We're not anywhere near wet weather yet, though. So yeah, perhaps just taking a gamble, saying screw it. We'll bolt on the fastest tyre. Do what Crichton did at the very beginning of the race. Try and tear your way up through the order. See what happens. But other than Spicer, everyone's on mediums or on the hard compound tyre. Safety car is in this lap. Everyone's caught up. So Matt Plevy, Mr. Race Spec, will take control of the field. He's got the 5-time champ directly behind. Then Daniel Koo and the Williams, who's looked quick in the opening stint. ACW, always very racy in 4th. And Ferrari Pro, he'd be looking to try and perhaps be a little conservative here at the start. He'll know that he won't have the outright pace of the medium runners in front. I reckon the most he'll be looking for is to just try and stick with the top 4 as Plevy powers away. Heading round the final corner and onto the main straight. That's a nice restart from him. He's got 8 tenths to Crichton, who is in trouble. Daniel Koo looking to the inside here, heading towards the first turn. Should get in front. Oh, but Crichton fights around the long way. Tight, very tight. Daniel Koo gets in front. Incredibly hard racing there between those two. They kept it just about fair though. And Daniel Koo takes second. And that was all because of the restart. Crichton just wasn't quite on it. Plevy got away well. Daniel Koo reacted quite well himself. Moved up into P2. ECW operating in 4th. Watching what's happening ahead. Not quite close enough to do anything just yet. Ferrari Pro, followed by Farmer Sam Websy. I imagine he wanted to try and get by Sam and Ferrari Pro when he's on the medium tyre. He's close, he's looking, he's dive bombing here at turn 10. He's got that inside line. Oh, but did he check up or was that lag? It almost as if he came to a dead stop as Liddell's around at turn 10. Gets back going. Ah, dearie me. It's not been Baggs' race, not at all. Down to 18th place. He's got all that work to do. Has to close a 2-second gap to Ven. Has to try and climb his way up through the order. Rockford, Roscoe down into turn 1. The Alpine gets in front. He's into P8. Ferrari Pro. Not quite close enough. Webbsy, though, is down the inside of Sam. It's a hard-fought battle through turn 4. The Williams gets in front. So does the Alpine. Contact between the two cars. They head around turn 5. Rockford to P7. Farmer Sam down to P8. Again, you can't get too flustered. You have to know you're on the harder compound. You just won't have the grip straight away to try and battle. You have to play a bit more conservatively when you're on that harder compound. Further back. Fairly tight battle here. This is for final spot within the top 10, which is currently being occupied by Prezzo. DRS now enabled. Oh, is Dutchy close enough? He's got the slipstream. Look at the momentum. He dumped the battery there as Rockford gets in front of Webbsy. Dutchy gets in front of Prezzo. Dutchy up to 10th. Rockford up to 6th. Webbsy's not done yet though. He's got grip. Oh, but he's not quite close enough here at turn 4 to really have a crack at Rockford. Has to stay behind. Matt Plevy continuing to lead the way, but he hasn't broken away. He's got a margin of 6.5 tenths, which is healthy. Up to 7 tenths, slowly edging away. Apollo gets in front of Prezzo. That's for P11. Around turn number 10, up towards 11. Around the short sweeper of turn 12. Daniel Koo closing the gap up by about a tenth through there. It's been a solid final sector from the Williams driver. Closing in on the Ferrari. We now begin lap 19 of 33. Still got a decent way to go in this race. Daniel Koo closing the gap. He's got momentum. Down the inside he goes. He gets in front. And look at Crichton deep under brakes. Almost going into the Ferrari. Round turn 3. Levy in the slip. Defending that inside line. Preventing Crichton from making a move here at turn 4. Down towards the turn 5 hairpin. Top 4 all line astern. And Ferrari Pro, he's keeping touch. Doing exactly what he needs to do with those tyres. Just keep touch. Wait for those mediums to wear themselves out. Let the hards come into play. Onto the back straight, up towards turn 9. Crichton's got a hell of a run. He's looking down the inside here, heading into turn 10. Gets in front. A great move, and well respected by Matt Plevy. Left enough room, and didn't cost himself too much time either with that exchange. Down the hill, round the sweeper, 6th gear. Then onto the main straight. I think Plevy got the best run out of all 3 cars. Look at that Merc go. Here we go, towards turn 1, down the inside. They're side by side, and eventually Crichton gets in front. I thought Daniel Koo was going to fight around the outside at turn 1, but it seems he checked up just before the apex, allowing the Mercedes to take the lead. Around turn 5, down the hill towards turn 6. Crichton has got a bit of a cushion now between himself and Daniel Koo. Is he trying to break away? Let's have a look at the telemetry. Look at him. He is using that overtake button. Trying to build up a margin to Daniel Koo, who is running very low on battery in single figures. Matt Plevy, he's got a bit in hand. I think ideally he needs to get by Daniel Koo as soon as possible. But the Williams driver, he will get DRS here. Look at that gap. It's now 1 second. I reckon Crichton's played a blinder. Daniel Koo, he does not have DRS actually. He missed out at the detection zone. Still losing a bit of time on the straights though, Crichton, suggesting that Daniel's Williams is actually pretty quick down the straights. But he's completely out of battery. Crichton, he's still got a little bit in hand though. Look at that gap, 9/10. If he can continue to build on that, he'll put himself in a fantastic position to try and win this race. And look at that, the gap's now over a second, now 1.1. Daniel Koo's in trouble. He needs a massive turn 9 and a massive third sector. He won't have the battery to play with either. So he has to do it with the mechanical grip of that Williams. And also by resisting the pressure put on him by Matt Plevy in the Ferrari. I feel like his resistance is not going to last too long. Matt Plevy's in a perfect position to try and pass here. Gap now 1.3 seconds. So we begin lap 22 of 33. Down the inside. Plevy takes second. Now he's got a job to do. Can he get within a second of the race leader? And can he stay within that margin? The gap sits at 1.1 seconds. Meanwhile, a bit further back, look at this train. Sector 1 yellows. Who is that? Is that Grimmy or is that Liddell? It's Grimmy. Round the outside goes Liddell. Should, or not quite, get the move done. Not yet. We head up towards turn 4. Liddell leaves room as they battle side by side. Liddell out in the marbles. They head towards the turn 5 hairpin. Little battle on for P17 on the racetrack. Well fought. Nice and respectful. Ooh, Daniel Koo under pressure from ACW. It's tight. Wheel-to-wheel contact between the two cars. Round turn 12. ACW sending it round the long way. But he just doesn't have the grip. Stays in P4. Down the hill. Around the final turn. And onto the main straight. ACW has DRS. So does the Williams in front. But look at the straight line speed. Wow. ACW slingshots in front. He's into third. Matt Plevy still 1.1 behind Crichton. He has completely spent the battery. Crichton also has spent all of the battery, but he's got slightly more by comparison. It's 11 to 6%. So we head through the middle sector. Around the turn 5 hairpin, down towards the kink of turn 6. The gap hovering at 1.2 seconds. Round turn 9 and onto the back straight. Very, very evenly matched. Crichton, he's just got that couple tenth margin. There's a couple extra tenths, 1.2 seconds is really helping him out. Keeping Matt Plevy at bay. And he'll hope ideally that ACW will get a bit closer and start battling the Ferrari driver for P2. Give him an even bigger break. Well, you can see ACW shutting DRS just a bit early there. He got close, but he didn't want to try and attack Matt heading into turn 1 there. Look at that gap, steadily increasing now, 1.4. It's a game of tenths right now here at Barcelona. It was a game of tenths during qualifying. It's the exact same thing in the race. A 1.5 second buffer, now 1.6 second buffer. Really helping out Crichton. Yellows out. I think that is Stevenson having a bit of a moment in the McLaren. Down in P14. What a shocker he's had. What a shocker for the McLaren team as a whole. No luck has gone their way at all. Spicer closing in, but he won't be able to make a move. Not there anyway. 1.8 seconds. I reckon now Matt's looking behind himself rather than in front. Or yellow's out. Is that Ross? No, it's not. It's Apollo Pepsi in the other AlphaTauri. Down to 16th. ACW takes P2 away from Matt Plevy. So the battle's properly on then for second place. Don't know if ACW will be able to catch the race leader. Have to keep an eye on the interval. A bit of a movement there from Rockford. He is directly behind Daniel Koo. This is going to be one hell of a scrap for these final two podium places. G-Force Crichton out in front. He knows what he needs to do to try and win this race. He can work with that kind of margin. He won't feel the pressure. ECW. I just think they're a bit too far behind to try and challenge at this point as Ferrari Pro moves up to 5th. Those hard compound tyres just turning on a little bit. Patience prevails, especially on those tyres. I reckon Ferrari Pro might just play himself into this battle for the final two podium places. Doesn't have a lot of battery on his side, but those tyres should be operating quite well. Matt Plevy retaking second. Daniel Koo a bit too far behind to try and attack for third. A bit wide as well. He'll lose time to Ferrari Pro. Oh, and lose time again by running wide at turn 2. Here comes Ferrari Pro. Looks. Can't dive though. Didn't have enough momentum to try and dive down the inside there. Out of turn 5 and down the hill. Round 6. And then turn 7. And the right of 8. This is going to be a really fascinating duel between Matt and ACW. These two have duelled on numerous occasions in the past. Sometimes resulting in not so great situations between the two of them. I'm sure they're both looking to give it everything to try and hang on to every position they can. Onto the main straight. The clouds, they're becoming thicker. As ACW moves down the inside and retakes P2. So back and forth between ACW and Matt. That will end at some point. When will these two scrap it out for second? Running wide is Daniel. Oh, he's off. He rejoins. He's down in 5th now. Ferrari Pro up to 4th. Websy, Rockford, side by side through turn 4, up towards turn 5. The Alpine has the inside line. It's tight stuff heading into the corner as Roscoe Arm closes in on the brakes. Down the hill, round turn 6, and into the chicane. Clipping the first apex, making sure you don't run over the sausage curb at turn 8. Round 9, bit of lifting there, having to cope with the dirty air and with worn tyres as well. You aren't able to carry it flat through turn 9. Round turn 10, and again Daniel's wide. The Williams losing grip, corner by corner. Round turn 12. Bit of a moment there again for Daniel. He's losing the back end just ever so slightly. Bit of understeer for Websy. DRS open. Rockford not quite close enough. Duckshe's close enough. And he's got some boosters in the back of that Alpha. Down the inside he looks. Contact! And around goes Websy. He's facing the wrong way. Flick spins himself back in the right direction. But he's now down to P11. Here's a battle between Nick Mann and Stevenson. They're going to arrive here on the stricken Websy. Stevenson very close behind. Can't make a move. Just behind is Ven in the Mercedes. Prezzo and Roscoe Arm change places. Oh, and that's because Roscoe Arm's got damage in the AlphaTauri. He's going to lose a top 10. Oh no. What a shame. Kept out of trouble for almost all of that race. He will have to pit. He will. Look at the horde of cars exiting 9. My God. Into turn 10. Round the outside goes Stevenson and Nickman. Ven's trying to follow. Can't quite do it. Spice is trying to find a way through. Prezzo gets in front of Farmer Sam now, who has the same problem as Roscoe Arm. Perhaps the two are connected to one another. I wouldn't doubt it. ACW goes back down to P3. Matt Plevy up to P2. It's all starting to kick off with 5 laps to go. Crichton still has that comfortable margin in hand. And he won't try and pull away either. He'll just try and maintain that gap. Doesn't need to overdrive the car at all. He'll just maintain that 1.8 seconds. Make sure he keeps the tyres in check and can get to the finish. Around turn 9, onto the back straight. ACW is close, but he won't be close enough to attack. No way. Ferrari Pro, though, stuck at the back of a 3-car train. He'll have a hard time passing, as it is with any racetrack. When you're at the back of a DRS train, it's almost impossible to pass. If he can find a way, he needs to be 110% committed to the overtake. DRS open on both ACW's and Ferrari Pro's cars. ACW to the inside, same with Ferrari Pro, 3 wide into turn 1. ACW breaks the latest of the lot. He's into second. Ferrari Pro, though, up to third. Webbsy retires. Virtual safety car. It's a VSC. Webbsy. Where has he done that? I wonder. Somewhere... because his car's completely despawned. Has he hit the pit lane wall? Perhaps. I reckon he might have hit the pit lane wall that separates pit entry and the racetrack. I reckon he might have hit that. And his car instantaneously despawned. So I couldn't see his dot anywhere. Well, drivers need to keep their eyes glued to the Delta. You do not want to get a drive-through here at the end of the race. It will absolutely kill your race. The VSC is still out. You need to have your eyes glued to that thing. But also, you do not want to lose too much time to your rivals around you. It's a fine balancing act. Drivers need to be very, very careful. You can see ACW, he's lost a considerable amount of time to Crichton. Gap shrinks up again. Crichton has to check up because of the Delta. That's sitting at about 2.1 seconds. When will we go back to green? It's still a VSC. It's a very, very long VSC. There we go, we're back to green. No one's got a drive through. Nickman goes on the attack straight away. It's Stevenson. Now he'll have his eyes firmly set on Prezzo in front. Look at this group. Horde of cars battling for P2 on the racetrack. Incredible that after so many laps, still got this incredibly tight battle towards the front of the pack. It's incredibly competitive. It's fantastic to see. What I'm also starting to notice, look at the clouds, they're very much here. We won't get intermediate conditions, but it might just start to sprinkle down, and when it does, you get that change in track condition. Slick tyre stops operating as well as it once was. Car begins to slip and slide. As of right now, it's still completely dry, no signs of wet weather. 2 laps to go. Down the main straight. Ferrari Pro is closing in on ACW. Using everything he's got, he goes down the inside and makes the move stick. He's up to second. ACW, he's got, look at the battery, a ton of battery to play with. Can't say the same for for Ferrari Pro rather. Down at 11%. So for ACW is going to play himself into this. On the very last lap, he's going to dump whatever battery he's got left to try and attack Ferrari Pro. Matt Levy, he's got a decent amount of battery as well. He's got enough. Rockford's got plenty. And Dutchy, well, he gets to watch the show. Down the back straight. 4/10 is the margin between ACW and Ferrari Pro. They're going to spend every bit of battery they have left on this final lap. They're going to give it absolutely everything. Here we go. Round turn 13, down the hill, and around the final corner. Crichton will begin the final lap. He's got margin in hand. He just needs to get it home. ACW, meanwhile, has a shot to go for second. Draws alongside and flies on by. It's not even a contest. Daniel Koo's close. Oh, and Matt outbreaks himself big time. Daniel Koo round the outside here at turn 2. Gives himself the inside line. Rockford, could he try and get into the top 5? Further in front though, Ferrari Pro down the inside here at 4. Contact and around go the pair of them. They throw away a podium finish. Unbelievable. On the final lap, they throw it away. Danoku's up to second. Plevy now in third. Rockford in fourth. They now battle for the final 2 podium places. Around turn 7. Round turn 8. Up the hill. On board with Rockford. Round 9. Not a great exit there from Rockford. Plevy's close. He's got momentum. Down the inside. He makes contact with Daniel Koo. He completely misses the corner. He throws away a podium too. Oh my goodness me. Can you believe it? What an absolutely ridiculous final lap. Crichton comes out of the final corner to take another win here at Barcelona. A terrific drive. Daniel Koo home in second. Rockford is third. Oh my goodness me. Plevy, Ferrari Pro, ACW, they threw it away. Oh my goodness. Dutchy finishes in the top 5. What an effort. Up 11 places. My God. Nickman in the 10. Prezzo in the 10. Stevenson recovered to the 10. He spun, what, 3 times in this race? My goodness. He finishes 8th. Then P11th. He was nowhere. He was absolutely nowhere. And he finishes just outside the top 10. Oh my giddy aunt. Complete chaos on that final lap. They gave it absolutely everything. And for 3 drivers, they threw away a golden opportunity for a podium finish. But no one was touching the man who crossed the line first. What a terrific drive. Got the strategy right out of the gates. On the soft tyre, was aggressive, got right to the front, and only a matter of 1 and a bit laps. Crichton gave himself the track position to win this race, and won it by a convincing margin when the checkered flag finally was shown. My God. What an ending. Crichton wins. Danoku's second. My goodness. And Rockford on the podium in third. I am bamboozled. So then, the unofficial results of this Spanish Grand Prix. Crichton wins from Danoku in P2, with Rockford rounding out the podium places in third. Plevy P4, Dutchy in P5. From 16th on the grid, he finishes 5th. Ferrari Pro P6, followed by ACW. Stevenson recovers to 8th. Nickman finishes inside the 10. Prezzo from 19th, starting last, finishes inside the top 10 in his very first Tier 1 race. Then P11, followed by Grimmy, Liddell, Polo Pepsi, Roscoe Arm, Farmer Sam, Spicer, Websy, and Cloxer. These 2 are only retirements of the race. There's some drives in there. Crichton, Dutchy, Prezzo, Nickman keeping out of trouble. My God. Drama and chaos. sprinkled in with some incredibly tight and competitive racing. My God. That's one of the best Spanish Grand Prix I think I've watched ever. That was truly insane. That ending, the whole thing. Wow. What a way to kickstart a season. Well, congratulations to our top three. Mega effort from all of those drivers. Congrats again to GeForce Crichton on winning here in Spain. This is like his 7th time winning or something. It's something ridiculous like that. He is a master of Barcelona. But man, that was a pretty good race. But I think, folks, with everything said and done, it's now time for us to wrap up the stream. I've been Lane Everingham. Thank you everyone so much for watching. And we'll see you next week for round 2 of the championship at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve for the Canadian Grand Prix. Until then, it's goodbye.